Yes, we're still on the issue of humility, and I think you've actually said quite a lot. But I'm afraid the network issue might have, really dealt with us there. The last part around humility that I really want you to really dwell on. I was still saying on the point that for me, a lot of people that I've met who are very super humble, they really come from humble beginnings. At some point in their life they struggled and everything like that, which is a story that you also share. Well, it's not a conclusion, but it's something that I see, but I'm not generalizing it and everything like that. So you were still speaking around that, because I know that you're Jane at some point, having to go back to your former school to sell there where you actually matriculated. For me, that can be the highest humbling thing for me, and everything like that. So did that reinforce, how you view life and how you carry yourself?
Absolutely. Yes. That's basically how I view life. To say, this life, we are not in charge. We may think we are in control to a certain degree, but an incident might lead you to actually be in a worse situation that you've never imagined. And the question is, would you still be able to survive and carry on? That's one of the reasons when I dropped out of school, out of varsity, I still went back to sell, your soup and acha and bread, despite the fact that I was known to have collected so many trophies as a top achiever. So I had to put that out, focus on what really would bring food on the table at home, because my dad had passed on at that time and I was the only one who could drive. So even though I didn't have a license, but I could drive. So I had to make sure that there's food on the table. So I think, of course, yes, sometimes we get clustered too much as people with the so-called qualifications, the status that you maintain maybe in the public. And I think to a certain degree it damages us. It makes us not to be able to fit into other environments. And for me, one of the things that I still close to my heart, and that's why I'm doing inspiration, and I want to do it to people who are mostly inexperienced, or who come from severely disadvantaged backgrounds, because I believe I also come from a little bit of a disadvantaged background. I've been there, seen things. So that for me, humility sits on top, because the person that you view as disadvantaged could be your savior tomorrow, so definitely you would find that maybe you collaborated with somebody that you mentored. There are people that I mentored who are doing more greater than I'm doing at the moment, and that's an inspiration there. So they could still come back and collaborate with me in some other things and stuff like that. So the principle here South Africa is popular.
Yeah. And actually what you said there about, not undervaluing someone else because you don't know what the future holds. I think that is a very powerful thing. And it just happened, this year, there was some students that I used to tutor. In fact, one of the students just rocked by and he was just like, I want to give you a ride. You get what I'm saying? And now you look into the whole thing, you're like, I used to tutor this person and now he's on the other side, and you get what I'm saying? And I think that is, the concept of humility for me, it has a lot of tentacles, and I think one of those is it touch on those kind of things. Like I mentioned earlier, that I would be making a very big disservice if I don't ask you this, or if we don't have a conversation about this, because this is something that you posted about some couple of days, and it's something that I think right now is quite a problem. And I'm saying this because at some point I was also a victim of this. You posted something about social engineering, this past, a recent post on Facebook that you want to write an article on that, and I would say that please do, like I beg you.
Okay.
I beg you to do that. I beg you to do that. And the reason for this is, by the way, social engineering, you know, you yourself, you work with these things since you're in the cybersecurity space, but social engineering just talks about the psychological manipulation of people into making them perform certain actions and to make them divulge even very confidential information. And now I think is in a sky high because of, if you think about it, this lockdown meant that a lot of people now are online. You know, we're working from home, people are working from home, and also social media, you know, people spend a lot of time on social media. So I could argue that 70 to 80% of the time that, you know, some people spend is online, especially now. And
Right.
with us
Yes.
spending a lot of time online, it means that we are so much vulnerable to any sort of cyber crime or any sort of cyber bullying and everything like that. We have issues such as spoofing, you have sextortions, you have cyber bullying, you have email phishing, vishing, smishing, you name all of those kind of things. Now, I want you to take it to a layman's perspective here, Mr. Kekana. For an average person who is not really in tune with this kind of content and they are online, what are those basic things that they should look out for when they are online for their own protection?
Yes. So let's first explain it in layman terms what social engineering is about or what it is. So a lot of people are now familiar with the word scam. They've heard it, they've seen examples, but they never really ask themselves what scamming is, you understand? So and scamming didn't really start now during the, you know, the thriving moments of the internet, you know, the usage of the internet. It existed long ago. So scamming is where people take advantage of your psychological structure as a human being. They know that you are an emotional being, and they're going to tap into that space and manipulate you using that kind of a weak point, if we may say, because as a human, you really are not in charge. You are born with emotions, and to a certain degree, you're going to turn emotional depending on how you receive a story. So it started way back, you know, if you remember, obviously my 2000 would not remember this, but back in the time, the 80s and the 90s would remember this, millennial 2000.
Sure.
There was a very big scam in the whole world that, you know, the world is coming to an end. People were told to withdraw money and you know, enjoy their life, and of which a lot of people fell for that, and they did it. You understand? So it's people who are very good in presenting stories, and they tweak it to suit your situation, taking advantage, of course, of what means a lot to you, and they know exactly what really threatens us as people. For instance, now if somebody wants to talk about money, we're all going to raise our eyebrows because we want money. For religious people, if you're going to touch on the principles of their religion, they're all going to raise their eyebrows because it's their life. You understand? So these guys are tapping into this kind of spaces to actually trick you to get what they want, you know. And so it's been existing for long, but now because of social media, it's becoming very easy because they can reach just about anybody, you know, on using a cell phone or computer. So it's very easy for people to you know, to do this kind of criminal activities online. So this is how they do it. It's simple, you know. They just create a story that you will tend to believe, and then make you either respond by giving out information or by clicking on a certain link. So it's two-way emotion. It's either they scare you or they excite you, knowing very well that if you are overexcited, you are uncontrollable, and if you are scared as well, you tend to want the quick solutions. You don't have time to think. That's exactly what social engineering does too. So now on the internet, we are becoming these funny people. Everyone wants to be fun. Everybody wants to do memes. Everybody wants to be a comedian. Now we kind of channel to follow this kind of stories, and we want to be playful as well. So they would just do a nice game, send you a link. You click on a link. That link takes you to a Facebook looking like website But if you do not know how to check whether it's a real Facebook site, you're going to fall for it and put in your credentials, not knowing that you're actually handing over your credentials to some strangers somewhere. Then they're going to log into your account and take over your account. That's as easy as that, actually. So that's why I've been very vocal about it, to say people be careful. With these games that you guys are playing, you don't know what will happen one day. And you've seen it with a lot of people taking on links in inboxes and later on they make in hack. So hacking is actually more complicated than social engineering. Social engineering, you've handed over your information. Nobody hacked you. So hacking involves a person who uses a computer to try and crack into your account without your involvement. But if it's social engineering, no, it's not hacking, guys.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's social engineering, you understand? So yes, of course, with the rise of internet, it's here to stay. It's going nowhere. Businesses have collapsed. If people don't know, businesses have collapsed because of social engineering. A phishing email, like you said, a phishing email, it's an email that looks like it's coming from a legitimate or individual, and then it just says to you, please do this agent, and then you act like that. Boom, they're done with you.
Hey, I know I'm a victim. Hey. It's even emotionally draining, that thing. If you think about it, talking about social media, because social media is one of the biggest, I think, platforms, in this day and age, and the average millennial, I can argue, with the research that is out there, that the average millennial spend probably 60 to 70% of their time on social media. In fact, that is so that even when people wake up, the very first thing they do, go into their phones. And it scared me this other time, as I was telling you earlier, that I was watching a documentary on the former employee of Facebook. And the guy was saying that it's not by default that we're getting addicted to this social media thing. That these big companies, what they have coined is something called attention engineers. So these are people who make sure that you keep on coming back to the same platform and everything like that. So social media is big. We're always there. And it is also used as a tool to perpetuate crime, whether you're looking at it from social engineering perspective or just people getting information because the information is quite there. And I read an article, some time back, which was actually talking about things to do and not to do on Facebook, things like geotagging. That is where you actually put where you are, and I see a lot of people do it. They would post a picture, maybe, and the location. Check in and everything like that. Apparently that is also very much dangerous because people can track where you are, and if criminals want to do anything, because there was an article that came out, I think it was December of that year, that criminals now, they go into a Facebook account and they would see that you have those people who are excited on vacations, that they post pre the vacation, during the vacation, and post the vacation. So that information gave the criminals much information to know when to break in your house. And I was just like, these people are outsmarting us, So things like geotagging, also things like sharing that kind of personal information on social media and everything like that. With a lot of people on social media, what can you say is, maybe just mention a few don'ts like that, perhaps just to be protective on that, on social media?
So people do that with an idea in their mind to get in return the likes, somehow, which fulfills them, not knowing that they're going to pay a price for that one day, if you get to be misfortunate, so you're just trying to be happy as dictated by the norms. I mean, this is a new world, this is a new village, as they call it. People are not the one. So
sure.
Kind of the culture within that kind of society compels you to do what the rest are doing. If not, you'll be viewed as somebody who's just, you're not fitting in, obviously, but peer pressure is existent. It doesn't care how old you are. If you don't try to control it, you're going to fall for it. So you're going to be showing every little thing that you're doing at your home. Your address is reflected, of course. And if there's somebody who's interested in following you, that is very easy. And we tend to think that these are very strangers, the most strangers, people sitting in other areas, like we see movies try to paint the picture. Bad guys are in Russia, somewhere in the east and stuff. But no, just within your community, you've got people who are actually watching your moves and they're not happy, or they might plan even something wrong for you, not knowing. And I want to show you how this happens, because it's easy for you to believe in media or pictures.
Yeah.
You can be very convinced when you see a picture that exactly it is who it is. Let me give an example. There's a popular account on Twitter, Mr. Hansen. People wholly believe that is the guy actually behind the story, and I wouldn't want to believe that. That might just be a picture of some person who's they are not even aware. They put it there and they try to use it as a parody to push an agenda. You get what I'm saying? So that's exactly what happens online. You see a person, and let me tell you, from this conversation, going to your social media, particularly Facebook, scroll on your friend list, right? There are people that you do not necessarily know, but you accepted them because of they had mutual friends. They started with something, let's say, for instance, I've got a lot of followership. Somebody request and I just accept blindly like that. Then the rest of the people are going to accept based on that mutual friendship. They don't really necessarily do the security check. And you will find these accounts where a person doesn't really have a story. They just have few pictures. And you ask yourself, what in the world is this? And those accounts are the kind of accounts that really target you, because if a person will be studying what you do and how people respond to what you do, and they take that as an advantage. So if somebody mimics me, creates an account using my images, and they inbox you because you've got this trust you're going to respond quickly to say, hey, I'm stranded here, don't even ask questions. Where I am, I don't have network, please send me this e-wallet, I will get back to you. And that's because of the trust that you have, being, and then you're going to respond very quickly, and then only to find out later that I'm not actually the person who did it. That's what exactly the attackers do online. They will study you, and it's very easy to study you because we are just oversharing on the net, and then they're just going to look at you, what do you do, and how do people respond to what you do. And then that's the element that people do not know about. People just think, I've got a lot of followers, people love me, but you do not know the wolves that are hiding behind certain accounts. So it's important when you get a friend request to try and look at and see if something really makes sense. Why would a person just have one picture, no stories, and then and they don't have a mutual friend, and I'm just going to be the first person? Ask yourself, what is it that really pulled them to want to be friends with me? And start evaluating whether you accept or reject. Because once you accept, then the rest of the people are going to fall victims, because you have accepted, and then they will see it as a mutual friend.
We are super vulnerable, actually. After you just said that, I'm just like, actually, yes. Anyway, maybe to end this conversation on something which is a bit lighter. Photography. Lestive, as you call it, and I like how you have created the word. I'm very obsessed with name of companies. I don't know where this obsession comes from, but I always find some creativity in coming up with names of companies. But of course, some companies you just find it's just names of people. But some companies, like, really the story, the name bears a story behind, and the lineage of the company and everything like that is quite great. And how you've taken Lesiba and creatives in creating Lestive, for me, I think that is creative. So you say that as you were telling when you were having the conversation with Steny and Gamo, that this photography thing also started way back. In primary, used to be the person, and I know people like that. Even where I come from, they just it's that that guy with the camera, and everything like that, and So and one of the things I think for me on a random day when maybe I'm scrolling through Facebook, one of the therapeutic things is pictures from Lestive. Like, I don't know, once I started seeing your pictures, I started appreciating how taking a picture is an art in its own, because as people we just take pictures and everything like that, and I would see you taking a picture of a flower, but that picture will just be something else, like art in essence. So as a professional photographer, Mr. Kekana, someone who's well versed in taking pictures, and people take pictures every day, some not professionally using lenses and stuff, just using their phones, posting on Facebook, Instagram, and everything like that. What are those things that perhaps we should, in taking the right photo, what are those factors? The factors that, let's say I'm taking a selfie, I want to put it on Facebook. Me being me, I'll just take a selfie like this and I'll put it there. But then I start to realize, there are other factors like the lighting, the background, and all of those kind of things. So take us through a tutorial of taking a selfie for Instagram, let's say. What are the things that you need to put into consideration there?
I'm going to be a bad advisor in this one, because I myself don't like selfies as well, because it kind of look weird. Well, first of all, the camera in front is not as good as the camera on the back of your phone. So because trying to remember you are at a closer range, so it's trying to cover a bigger space, so it tends to make you look as you are not, in an oval shape or a round shape of some sort. I kind of find it very weird, and the fact that there's a big screen behind the camera, below the camera, and now you have to look at the screen rather than looking straight into the lens, and that creates just an awful look for me, and that's why I don't like selfies anymore. Rather, I would actually use the camera, phone camera, then I would rather ask somebody, or maybe use a stand or something, use the back camera, because you can look straight into the lens, and to the viewers it will be like you're looking straight into their eyes, you understand? So those are some of the things. So in terms of taking a good photo with your phone, nowadays phones are powerful. You've got 4 cameras now. I've read yesterday that there's a phone with 4 cameras, there's triple cameras and stuff. And those cameras, what they're trying to do is to cater for what we have in the real cameras, the different types of lens, your wide lens, your zoom lens and stuff. So you're just putting those lenses. The other one is wide, the other one is just average, and the other one would be zoom. So you need to try them and see how it works when you tap with a zoom lens, when you use a wide lens. So why you would take a picture and you're dressed smartly but it doesn't look wow, it's because of when you use an average phone, you do a wide angle, and you're going to see some other stuff which are not interesting. That's what messes up your picture. If it's how you artistically deliver a photo, we mostly would blur the background, unless if you want to show you the beauty, you focus on you as the subject. And I've seen phones have got that little bit to train yourself on that. Of course, yes, you've talked about light, and you'd find, your eyes are very, very dynamic compared to a camera. Your eyes can quickly react to harsh lighting and darkness to adjust for you to see, but the camera can't do that. It requires on the person who's control it to do those settings to see nicely. So let me give an example which is a bad way of taking a pic that people tend to do. The person sees light through the window, right? And then they see light through the window, they go and stand there, then they want to take a picture. That's going to be a very awful picture, because what will happen is that the camera will capture the light more than you as the subject, because that's what it sees. Photo means light, so the camera goes for the light than you as a subject. And if you do not have any external light to show to light on you as a subject, then that photo is just going to be as awful. Rather than face the light, even if it's harsh, try not to look directly into the light. Use the phone, that photo is going to be stunning because the light is on you as a subject, you know, or whether it's a full photo or it's a half photo, you're going to look very beautiful. So other than the way around. So that's just the thing that I can give. Obviously, the other thing that people do not know about is composition, which I can say it's framing. If you want to focus on the top, which is nice, do it that way. Don't just take the whole full
view.
Your jacket, but then you get distracted by your shoes. You really want to show, and that's what you see. We call it detailing in the photography. When you do, like in my case, wedding, we start with details. Go and take things like beads, and because beads, when viewed from far, they're very tiny. You would never go into the details, and that's where we as photographers go and show you something that you didn't know about. Rings, maybe they've got names and you didn't know. You go and focus on such details and put them in a large view to say, hey, by the way, there's a story here. There's a personal life created, you know, in this artistic manner and stuff. So that's one thing that you also need to take into consideration if you want to take a nice photo of yourself or a selfie, as you call it. Composition, lighting, I would end it there.
Yeah, this is a whole science, you know?
Yes. And you know what? It's so interesting that people take things easy. In almost everything, we take it easy until you get exposed. So I like it. I like for the fact that photography is one of the things that you can undermine people.
Yeah.
Because you tend to think that by buying an expensive camera, when you're done, you're going to get good photos. It's not the case. There's a whole lot of noise. That thing has got buttons, a lot of buttons with settings. Those are not there for nothing. And it's not just expensive because of putting a price tag on it, but it's because of the build in technology and capable of delivering. And if you do not know how to use it, I've seen people who are driving very powerful cars in the streets, but they drive slower or and you get confused.
Yeah.
They are not possessing the right skills.
Oh,
It's not the car that is the problem, but the actual driver.
The person, the driver.
It's not necessarily the camera that is going to give you good work, but the person who actually drives that camera.
Wow, that's very much interesting, you know. Do you still do the photography workshops?
Yes, Corona stopped us. Corona stopped us. We did our very first actually in March this year, just before, I think it's a week before lockdown. How lucky I was. It was just a week before lockdown, and then we have done it. It was well received. It was full. It was nice, and it kind of gave me that pleasure to say, you know, at least now I can share my knowledge in photography, and I would like to continue with this. You know, even though you don't want to be a professional photographer, but these basics of using a camera to get you're gonna be taking a trip, you know, vacation, and you want to come back with good photos. And that's what we were doing in the workshop, teaching people on how to use the cameras that they have to the best way they can. So yes, hopefully when things get back to normal, we carry on with our photography workshops. We'll try to classify them differently, because that one was just a basic one for people without knowledge or entry level, and then we were supposed to have an advanced one where I was going to feature very top photographers, you know, in the industry, and where we're going to be sharing the platform and doing an exclusive type of workshop. But hey, Corona changed the plans, but it was
Corona. And these people will mark the end of our first session, because I believe that there's going to be other sessions that are still going to come. You know, I think there is a lot to learn from you, your experiences and everything like that. So you know. So, but very uplifting conversation here, and we got to learn a lot about some stuff. And it was actually great to have you here. It's something that I've actually longed for. Even when I started with this thing, I had a bucket list of people, and you came in the top there. And I was like, if I can only have this and this and this and this, I'll be so much privileged. So thank you very much for gracing us and taking your time, a very precious time, because you might be using this to, take a picture of something, I know, in the garden or something like that. But you actually afforded us time here. So thank you very much for being here. You inspire us. Keep on keeping on and keep on doing the great works that you do. And from me, I'm just my Sunday is complete.
I really appreciate it, my leader. I really appreciate it. I also must be grateful to be given this kind of an opportunity to share my stories. On its own, to me, it's also a reflection, because getting to watch and hear what you've said, it seems because sometimes you struggle with time to create time to do this kind of introspection. So I really appreciate this, and hopefully it's gonna help others out there who truly would want to be inspired, would want to do things on their own. And my last message, like I said during the conversation, please, people, don't be afraid of doing things and hoping to be doing them at a later stage when you've accumulated some certain resources. I hate that type of mentality with passion, waiting for me to be over so that I can come and become a speaker. Knowledge it's not determined by that. If you've got knowledge that you feel is valuable, carry on and do it. If you want to learn, carry on and learn. Don't do things for the sake of social media validation. Do them for the right reason. And wishing you that. Yes.
What an outro. Lesiba Kekana. I can only thank you very much.
Sure.